This conference will now be recorded.
Recording. So, as I said, the aim of this session is trying to help you to prepare yourself for DevNet certification and try to understand why we go for DevNet certification and what is the reasons for DevNet certification. And in general, why we need to go for network programmability and automation and DevOps tools and all these new things that I must say that one of the good things about Cisco DevNet track and an indicator for how DevNet is doing successful movement in the world of network programmability certification, that nowadays, if someone want to talk about DevNet, if someone want to talk about network programmability, DevOps, everything related to adding programming skills to our network skills, we always saying we're going to learn DevNet, even if we didn't mean to go for DevNet certifications. You might know me. My name is Yasser Ramzi, and I am Cisco Champion 2020 with some certification. Maybe the most important one here will be the CCNP DevNet that I already made it a few weeks ago. Our agenda is going to be answering question like why we need DevNet skills in our production environment, what is DevNet certification track, and all these things, DevNet resources, and what is the techniques and tools that we should know about it before we start studying for DevNet. First of all, I'm saying that don't resist the change. I'm seeing that some people saying that maybe DevNet is just a balloon that related to topics that we might not need it right now. We will need it after 1 decade or something. And some people giving IP version 6 as an example. We start talking about IP version 6 like two decades ago, and nowadays, we start now to see it in the market, and we start seeing a lot of service provider now moving to IP version 6. Actually, the idea here is different because what we are talking about is already happening, and not in 2020, but maybe for the last 5 years, we are using a lot of tools related to DevNet, and we are using network programmability and all these things. DevOps tools also are there. So let's not make it like the horse owners when they discover cars and the cars start to be in the market. All the horse owner was against cars, right? Think also about it. 10 years ago, or maybe 12 years ago, what you need to learn in networking. CCNA may be enough, plus MCSA, MCSE, which is officially now not exist by Microsoft. There is no more MCSA and MCSE. You need to learn how to put your Windows server and install it, add the role, install Exchange server, and we might need 2 or 3 or 4 admins, one for Windows Server, one for Exchange, one for SharePoint, and now everything in the cloud. Maybe I might need only one admin to do all the stuff. So nowadays it is different than 10 years ago when it comes to network admin and system admin. Imagine someone was resisting cloud computing 10 years ago, and what we have right now. Some other could ask another question: why we replace command line with automation? I'm good with command line. Command line has a lot of disadvantages and cons. Like it has a lack of common data model. It is context sensitive and order specific. Also, it is proprietary. It is all the command line that you are using for Cisco is different than the one that you are using for Juniper, and so on. Even Gartner said that by 2022, 25% only of network operations will be based on the command line. That means 75% will be based on something else. And what is the something else? It is automation and DevOps tools and network programmability and all these concepts. And as you can see here, different vendors have their own command line. We are talking about same concepts, but they represent it in different way when we are using their own command line. So what about what we are going to learn? Looks like it is a lot of stuff, and it looks like it is complicated, not hard to learn. Actually, no, you are not learning rocket science. You are learning actually all technologies that we just in the last few years we found the way to use it effectively in our network environment. If you check just wait a minute, sorry, if you check the date and when others are using and start inventing different protocols and technologies, you will notice that there is few things started like 20 years ago. JSON, XML is here for the last 24 years. A lot of things, even artificial intelligence that we talk about it from 1950 something, as you can see. But let's talk about something. When we go for DevNet track, we will notice that we are studying something called API. And we have different type of APIs that we need to understand and practice and use it to talk with different network devices. Normally, what is API? It is just a mechanism to make two entities talk to each other, two software talk to each other. A user or an admin talk a network device or a web server or a web application. This is API. So if I'm talking about things like SNMP protocol, remote procedure call, all these things we can consider it API. One API usage example, this web application. In this web application, I can open it in a website. It is just a website. I will open it, and when I open it and log into it, I can choose a specific location using Google Map. Then he able to show me all the public post in Facebook, tweet in Twitter, more than 30 different social network applications. He can show it to me and show me exactly what is happening right now, who is posting what in this location, in this geographical location, and I'm using Google Map for that. The application itself, the guys who made this application is actually using API to communicate with Google Map, to communicate with Twitter, Facebook, and so on, different APIs, API for Google Map, API for, and they start getting all this information and show it to you. The same concept now we can have it in network field. Instead of using DevNet, SSH, SNMP to communicate with our network devices, I can use APIs like REST API, like RESTconf, like NetConf, instead of using these protocols. And frankly speaking, we don't want us a picture like this confused us, because for SSH we still use it to make a communication with the network device, but what we are doing after that is the most important. When you have SSH to communicate with the network device, what you are doing after the connection, you are using the command line. And instead of using the command line, I will use something like netconf, because it is using SSH. DevNet, we don't like it. You know, it is sending everything as a clear text, and it has some security issues. SNMP is good protocol to get information, to set information, even to get notified about something happening in our devices using SNMP trap messages. But SNMP is not good for configuration. Yes, I can configure using set request in SNMP, but still SNMP made more for monitoring. Also, SNMP cannot understand if this is a startup file or running configuration file, or this is a candidate file, data store. He will never understand these things. That's why we replaced SNMP with netconf. If someone will tell you, can we replace it? Is that really true? Actually, it's true, because what SNMP, what a netconf can do, SNMP cannot do. Not only, and netconf is not only doing what SNMP doing, but more than that. And especially when we talk about netconf 1.1 version, because some people will say netconf is not supporting stuff like trap messages and receiving notification. So we need SNMP, you still need SNMP, but netconf version 1.1 can do this also. So what we are going to go for it is using API to communicate with network devices, and instead of using SNMP or DevNet or SSH plus command line. Here maybe there is something should be added here, that when I say DevNet plus command line, SSH plus command line. And instead of using these things, I can now use these types of APIs. And I left you here with a link showing you the most important thing that we need to remember about netconf and REST API and RESTconf. You will notice here that REST API is an API, can make me communicate with a network device like switch or a router, similar to making my web browser and my application talk to Google Map and Twitter to get all this information, same concept. And here, REST API will use HTTP protocol, and normally it will use what we call it HTTP methods or HTTP commands or HTTP verbs, all mean the same thing. When you use HTTP to communicate with a web server, to have this page that I'm showing it to you right now, I just made few get commands. So if I have Wireshark capturing all the packets, I will find a lot of get commands here. This is one of the commands that we have in HTTP. We call it HTTP verbs or commands, up to you. We have delete, we have batch, we have post. Post when you send something, like when you are in a forum or in a Facebook typing something using HTTP and HTTPS, it will be sent using post. So REST API is capable to use these commands to communicate with network device. Give me all your startup configuration. So I will send you get command, right? Now, with the network device, when the network device sending you information, or you are sending information to the network device to be configured, or maybe you are adding something, modifying something in the network device, what is the format of the data that I'm going to receive or send? This is what we call it data encoding. And normally in REST API, I have XML and JSON. REST API also capable to use HTTPS to make the communication secure. And normally REST API has different tools that you can use, like CURL, requests, Python library, Postman, which is an API client from Google. You can use any one of these three tools. For instance, this is the main three tools that I can use it to communicate with the network device and do these get, delete, batch command. Also, we have another API. We call it netconf. This is the replacement for SNMP, if you remember. Let's agree that netconf is not only API, it is protocol also. That's why we replace it with another protocol, which is SNMP. Netconf is using for messaging remote procedure call. And when he want to get something or post something, he's not using HTTP verbs here. He has his own commands or operations commands. He has his own command to do that. Also, netconf is very smart. He can understand that I am dealing with the startup file or running configuration file, or maybe I'm using iOS XR, so I have the candidate data store. You know that running configuration file or startup configuration file or the candidate, we call it data stores, right? He can use SSH TLS for communication to make it secure. Also, he's using data model YANG. YANG is similar to management information base in SNMP. You know, when you use SNMP to talk with the device, I can tell him, give me the value that equal to this object identifier. All these object identifier is a part of something we call it management information base. This is the data modeling that we have in SNMP. In netconfig, we have YANG. YANG is not made only for netconfig, but this is the data model that's supported by netconf is YANG. Tools, we have a library for that in Python called NC client. We have we can have it, and we can also have a direct communication using SSH and command line. But this will just show you the capabilities and few other things that you will know it when you go to learn netconf. But mainly NC client is what is good here, which is just a Python library. RESTconf is trying to get the best of REST API and netconf API and make it together. So when it comes to commands, how he will talk with the network device, he will use HTTP verbs, similar to REST API. And instead of having XML only as a data encoding in netconf, he will be like REST API. He will support XML or JSON. He uses HTTP and HTTPS. He's using YANG as a data model, and also he's a protocol. What is the tool? Same tools for REST API. We can use it with RESTconf. This is an example for what is the command that we can do with RESTconf or REST API, because both of them, if you remember, RESTconf is using HTTP verb, and REST API is also using HTTP verbs. As you can see here, if I'm using RESTconf for REST API, I have the get command. And I said in netconf, we have netconf has his own command, right? He has getconf or get, both of them will be working. Post, bot, batch, delete, it is all use one command in netconf for that. We call it editconf. But inside the editconf, I have I can specify operation like create, merge, or delete. So that's why editconf operation delete will equal delete and HTTP verbs that we are using with RESTconf and REST API. What is the tools and techniques you need to study before starting your journey with DevNet certification? First, introduction to programming. You need to know that DevNet track is made for network administrator, system administrator, and also for programmer. So, and my session here is more for the network administrator and system administrator. If you are already programmer, so you know a lot of things here, like at least introduction to programming for sure. But for us as a network administrator and system administrator, we might don't know yet, especially if you don't also coming from a computer science background, academic background related to computers and IT technology. In this case, you might know what is computer programming. It means solving problems. We can solve our real life problems by using programming. Algorithm, maybe you know it, maybe not. What is the difference between compiler and interpreter? This is also two terms that you need to remember and understand. And what I'm saying here is something you need to know, and I prefer and I really recommended you to the next few slides. Anything I'm talking about, try to study it before start preparing for DevNet certification. Even if there is something I will mention here going to be mentioned inside DevNet material and official curriculum, but it is good to prepare yourself from the beginning. So when you start opening a book for a DevNet associate, for example, exam in this case, and they will talk about something related to Python or something, or network introduction to programming, you will know what they are talking about, or XML or JSON and all these stuff. So the basic stuff for programming concept, you need to know about it. You need to know, for example, what is object-oriented languages, the meaning of object-oriented languages. If you are a network or system, if you are a system admin and you already work with network, with Active Directory and Windows servers, in this case, you have a good chance to understand easily what is object-oriented languages, or what is object-oriented in general. And also this will help you to understand a lot of other things later in different products that are going to be covered in DevNet certification. Like for instance, Cisco ACI, the ABIC itself, the ABIC, it is based in the concept of objects. And all this is, and even when you study Python, it is an object-oriented language, and everything inside the Python is an object. And again, you can understand what we are talking about if you just remember this concept of objects that you learned in Active Directory. Normally, what we have in Active Directory, I have a user that I just create, and this user, let's say his name is Mike and the password is Cisco or whatever. This user that I just create is an object, and this object, which is Mike, has a type. What is the type of this object inside my Active Directory? It is user account. So I have a user account object from the type user account. The type here, we call it class. Then you have a lot of properties. If you right click Mike, you will find a lot of tabs. What is his email? Password can be expired or not. What is his location? He's member of which groups? All these things, right? Normally we call it attributes, but actually you will face it, you will see it as a properties, but it is actually called attributes. If you create a computer account, what is the type of the computer account? What is the class of the computer? What is the class of this object computer account? What is the properties for this object? It is going to be the computer name, the computer password, and so on. Also, you need to understand what is the IDE, what we mean by when we say IDE, the tool that we can use it to create application or scripts in any programming language. The second topic that you need to study is going to be Python. Now, Python programming language, you will not really find it in the DevNet track. You will find tools and scripts and a lot of other things in Python that we will use it, but you will not find a really a chapter or 3 or 2 chapters that trying to teach you Python. Okay, this is very important. When you go to DevNet Associate, when you go to DevNet Professional in any course, they will not talk about Python. They will not teach you Python. This is something a prerequisite for the course and for the track, for the DevNet track. Also, when we say you need to learn it, you need to know what you need to learn. Do I need to be mastering all the topics in Python? What is the limit for my learning process with Python? Where I will stop learning Python and I would say this is enough for me. This is what I need for DevNet certifications. Frankly speaking, you need to learn these concepts: variable operators, variable and object types. Different object types, we have it here. All these are object types. I need to understand it and know it. The concept of functions, method, class, module, libraries or package. Library or package, just the concept of library or package. For sure, how to use the if then, if else, and the if then concept, which is here if, else if, or other stuff. For and while loops, to create loops in our Python application. How to open files in your operating system. My Python script will run in operating system, and maybe I need to get some information from network device and create a file in your operating system and save it there. In another meaning, your Python script will start dealing with the operating system, and it will send it can create folders, can create files, open them. All these operations is also important. Finally, how you will do the error handling, how I will handle the errors that I could see it because something wrong in my Python script, and if I would like to show a different error message than the default one, how I will do that. After that, anything else is based in your field and what is the libraries that you need to study. Python is coming with a set of standard libraries. These libraries has different functions. For example, I could have a library that helped me to deal with the operating system. I could have another one help me to deal with Python system. Another could help me to do this and that, and so on. One could only relate it to date and time. And if my script need some functionality related to these standard libraries, I will use it. I will use these packages. And for sure, inside each one of them, there is a set of commands, which is normally, we call it functions or methods. So I have different functions or methods that exist in each library. I need to understand it. I need to study it. But remember, we have a lot of standard libraries. Which library I will focus on it more than the other, depending on the field that we are talking about. Personally, I would say, okay, OS, SYS, and we have a list of maybe 10 standard libraries that you need to know about. Then we can say that you have the basics for Python. Now you are good with Python. What you should do after that is trying to find out what is the third-party libraries that you need to deal with it. Third-party libraries, it is going to be libraries that can help you in artificial intelligence. It can help you in data science, can help data science stuff. It can help you in statistic. Some other libraries could help you in networking and dealing with network devices using these libraries. It can open a session with the network devices, maybe using SSH or something, and we can configure the devices. So it depends what field we are talking about. If you are in network field, in this case, there is a specific library, third-party libraries that you need to know about. Maybe you will find few other things that also you need to know about Python is choose your Python IDE, the application that you will open and you will start writing codes and practice what you learn about Python. PyCharm is there. Microsoft has an application that can run not only in Windows, but also Linux, Mac. We call it Visual Studio Code. I like Genie because it is good for the beginner. Also, you need to understand how to install the third-party library. When you install Python, there is a package manager, we call it pipe, will be installed with it. And later, maybe I will tell you I have a script, but it is not running. I will open the script and I will see that, yeah, you are using one third-party library that not coming with Python by default, not standard. In this case, I can go to my command line, my CMD, if I'm using Windows, and I'll say pipe install, then the name of the library. And you can see a lot of third-party libraries, plus some information about how to use pipe in this site. Another skill in Python that you need to know it before we go to DevNet certification, it is going to be how to create what we call it virtual environment. Virtual environment is simply means that maybe you are writing two applications or two scripts. And in one of the application and one of the scripts, you will need a third-party library. Let's call it X, but you will need to use version 1.1 from it. While the second application that you are, or the second script that you are trying to create and run, it will use the same library, but I need version 1.2. Also, in the same time, maybe I need to, for some reason, maybe I'm using Python version 3.7 here and Python version 3.8. Frankly speaking, you can create what we call it virtual environment, where it's similar to virtual machine. Python will create it in your system, where you need just to activate this environment, continue writing on it, use the specific libraries, versions, and different things here. Deactivate it, go to another environment, activate it, start working with it with different conditions, no issues. And you can find here a link for how to create that. You need actually to create the virtual environment concept in Python, you will need to install also a third-party library for that. They are showing it to you here. Before I leave these slides, you might see in CCNP infrastructure, enterprise infrastructure, in the core exam, in the core course, that in the end of it there is Python chapter or a part of a chapter. Don't this make you think that you will really learn Python there. First of all, it depends on the book that we are talking about, the material that we are talking about, how much they will deep they will go to explain Python for you. Also depend on the class itself and the structure-led class training. When you are in a classroom, it depends on the trainer. Sometimes he will explain Python, sometimes he will tell you it is a self-study topic. And you cannot blame him because Python and Encoding is a self-study topic also. So it is always better to learn it by yourself. And to learn Python, the best material that I found for Python was made by logical operation, and they call it Python Programming Introduction. It has the same topics that I just showed to you that you should learn it about Python. In the same time, you can go to these two links here. All the material and outline from logical operation to Python introduction, I explain it here in these two videos. The first one is like 3.5 hours, and the other one is also 3 hours. So we are talking about 7.5 hours introduction to Python, part 1 and part 2, and they based in the outline that we have it here in logical operation. Still, if you want to go and buy the book from them, it's up to you. If you going to tell me, is there something from Cisco for Python, a course that teach us Python? Yes, we have programming for network engineer. There is a course that made for network engineer to learn programming, and the language here that we are using is Python. It is called BRNE. You can find it in this site in Cisco Learning Network store, and there is no exam for that, by the way. It is not a course with the exam. If you find that these two videos and the 100 or the 1,000 of websites that trying to teach you Python is not enough, and you want me to recommend a book, I will recommend it, Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. Very good book, and second edition. And this is the book that can help you. You can see, you can watch some videos, practice, then read the book a little bit, and so on in a cycle. This will be good, and the book will help you a lot. Again, why we are doing this? Because Python is not really explained in DevNet track. HTTP. You can go to this website, learn HTTP, and you need HTTP. Why I need HTTP? Because we just said that REST API and REST conf is using HTTP, right? So they are using the GET and POST, right? So you need to understand HTTP as a request response protocol. Your browser is requesting something and the server is responding to it, and we have the HTTP verbs in the middle. We have different codes for when error happen, when everything is okay, when some condition is happening, all these things, and HTTP will be important for us. You need to learn as much as you can about HTTP. You will find in some material in DevNet certification they explain HTTP, but still they will try to explain HTTP from the side, from the perspective of network automation and other stuff. But still, if you can learn more and more about HTTP, like for example, try to understand the verbs, these get and post and put, delete. What is the difference between put and batch? It is good to learn it now before you learn it in the DevNet material, because in DevNet material we are covering a lot of things, a lot of topics. So I don't want you to be surprised in every page with something new, right? So try to prepare for HTTP. Try to prepare for how HTTP authentication is happening. We are using basic authentication. We can use digest authentication. We can use certificate authentication. What is the meaning of token in the authentication? Why we use the term authorization sometimes? All this is important. And you can find a lot of websites that showing you what is HTTP. Frankly speaking, you can learn HTTP in 2 days if you want. Then you need to start studying some third-party libraries in Python. You already know Python now. You understand Python, right? Now, there is some libraries that's very important for you. The first one here is requests, and request is one of the module or libraries in Python that you need to study and you need to master. Why is that? Because normally what we have here is simply we have our machine here, and my PC has the script, and this script need to be sent and executed in this network device. And maybe my script here is just saying, give me or show me or display some information in your configuration file. So you are sending the get verb here. Now, how, if this is your script here, your Python script, how I will do that? I need a library that can use HTTP and can utilize HTTP and execute HTTP verbs. What is the library that can help me here? There is a standard library coming with Python. We call it URL lib or lib, URL lib, but we don't like it that much. There is a third-party library. You can find it in this website, and you can install it using Bibe. We call it requests. This is an important module that you need to master and understand. Example for that will be something like this. As you can see here in this Python script, I am first using the command import to import this third-party library requests. Then I'm creating an object or a variable, and this variable it is going to use a method or a function called get existing requests. And actually this get is the HTTP get verb. Get what? Here is the website, google.com. Now, what is really happening here from Python perspective, he will create a box or an object, and he will put the response that he got from the google.com inside. Then I can tell him, okay, for this object, please print for me the status code, which is normally for HTTP. If everything is fine, I will receive the code 200. Show me what is the URL we got. Show me the request itself. Show me the content of the page. Okay. And if I execute it, you will see that I have here the status code here 200. What is the URL? Here it is. What is the request that we applied? Actually, we know it is get from here. Here it is get. Then he is giving me in HTML format or whatever the Google page written on it. He's giving me all the configuration, and even I can tell him what is the what is all this. It is text, and I will understand that it's string, the class for it string. But anyway, this is something. This is just an example for requests module. Also, you will find some other third-party libraries or modules that you can use it in Python script that can create a SSH session with your network router, or your Cisco router, your Cisco switch. Not necessarily Cisco, could be from other vendors. And one of them is NAPLM. I mention it here with a little bit. Okay, turn off webcams. For some reason, it's telling me turn off the webcam. Okay. Here we are seeing. I mention NAPLM because NAPLM is one of the modules that they will cover in DevNet course, in DevNet track, in the course related to network enterprise. The course related for automation and network enterprise, you will find NAPLM covered there. But frankly speaking, this is not only the module that you can use. And NAPLM, by the way, you need to know it is not only, sometimes you will find that there is a lot of other modules that can be used also. Paramiko, NetMiko, Norner. I advise you to go for ibspace.net, and you will find a very good article and blog here made a few months ago about which module or which third-party library here is useful and more better to use when I want to communicate with my network router and switches. In case if you don't want to use REST API, remember, this is just a module inside my my device, and they can use it. Now, what is else? Bash shell. You need to be good in Bash shell. Why I will surprise myself that Bash shell is important in DevNet curriculum. Let me study it before I go there. Just try to understand what is Bash shell and how you can use it. In Windows, if you have your CMD and inside it you have DOS command, in Linux we have the concept of terminal instead of CMD, and instead of DOS we have different type of DOSes because Linux is not giving you one thing like Microsoft. It's giving you a variety of tools that doing the same thing, and you should use one of them or use the default. And normally the default nowadays is a shell, we call it Bash, which is used there. So CMD in Windows terminal, and Linux, DOS in Windows, Bash in Linux. And frankly speaking, if I want to compare it, I will say even not DOS, but I would say PowerShell, because it is more similar to Bash. Both are scripting languages. And this maybe will lead us to one question: why I'm doing this? If I can do it in Windows, should I use Linux or Windows as operating system for all my study? If you are coming from Microsoft environment and background, in this case, use Windows. Use Windows. You can install Python. You can install some Linux command in Python in Windows, like curl or something. You can use wget in Windows also. You can do a lot of things, but you can use, later we will talk about Git, and Git also can be normally used in Windows. But for two reasons, you need to understand Bash shell. First, that it is going to be part of what you are going to learn in DevNet certification. So you need to understand the Bash shell commands. Second, because there is some tools and some other stuff that we will talk about it in the curriculum itself, you will not be able to run it from Windows. If I say that you can do all this in Windows, yeah, but there is few things that you cannot really effectively do it in Windows, like using DevOps tool like Ansible. So now Bash shell is something you can spend the time with. This book, I like it, by the way, like 600 pages learning about Bash shell. Maybe this is more than what you need. I need you to understand the basic command. You need to understand what is BWD, what is GREV, and so on. What is CRL and why we need it. How to move between different directories or folders inside the Bash shell. How to copy the files, how to make directories. All these things are important for us. So, and I must say something very important. If you remember when we was talking about REST API and RESTconf and netconf, when it comes to REST API and RESTconf, I say that you have requests module or request library from a third-party library. We will use it with these two APIs. I say that you can use API client from Google called Postman, and I say CRL tool, and actually CRL is just a command that make you able to talk to web servers, get from them something, send something, and the web server here maybe not a web server or web application, maybe it is a device supporting HTTP or HTTPS like a network device. So we use it normally when we want to do a get command or post command to receive something from our device, our network device, I can do that using CURL. So you need to learn CURL. CURL, I must say, it is one of the commands that you will not really find it explained well, or they give it a lot of time to explain it. Similar to Python, something you need to take care and know it and practice it before you start. So CURL is a very important command here, and bash shell in general. DevOps tools. We have different tools: Chief, Puppet, SaltStack, Ansible. Normally we like Ansible. Ansible is using the YAML data encoding, similar to JSON and XML, but you will never encounter it with the normal operation in the APIs. You remember REST API and REST-conf is supporting JSON and XML. NetConf is supporting XML only. No one of them of the three is really supporting YAML. YAML, you will find it here as a data encoding for Ansible files. This is the data encoding for Ansible files, and also it is based in Python. Ansible can be, there is a third-party library for Ansible also, if I want to use it in a script. So Ansible is very good. And instead of using Puppet, which is Ruby, SaltStack is Python also, but at least Chef and Puppet is using a different completely language, which is, by the way, if you go study Ruby after finishing your study with Python, you will find it very easy, similar. But the most important thing related to Ansible, it is agentless. Agentless means simply, if I have a device here and I want to do some configuration, I have a desired configuration that I would like to change in these servers or in these devices, all what I need to do have Ansible file here and execute it against these machines. I will execute it against all these machines. And actually what will happen in the Ansible file, I can create another file, I will call it hostess, and I will put inside it the IP addresses for these guys. And that's it. This file has a lot of configuration. He will send it to this machine. He will go to the hostess file, getting the IP addresses that he's talking to, then send all the information without the need to install something in your servers or in your network devices. That's why we call it agentless. The configuration file for Ansible, we call it playbook. Ansible is based in the concept of playbooks. Normally it is going to be written in YAML. That's why you can see the triple hyphen here. This means that you are dealing with YAML file. You will have the playbook or your configuration file that you want to send to the configuration that you want to send to a network devices. You will find it based or categorized in different, what we call it, plays or sections. So I have a play 1 here, I have play 2 here. Each play will have its own name, and inside each play I will have different tasks that I can apply it against specific devices. Now, if you told me, should I learn Ansible or leave it to the DevNet track, you can leave it to the DevNet track. They will explain it well there. But if you wanna, again, prepare yourself, why not? It is not one of the hard to learn topics. Now, I talk about JSON, I talk about XML, YAML. W3 School could be a good website to learn a lot of things like just JSON and XML here, or even YAML. And I talk about Yang. You need to understand that JSON, XML, and Yang will be explained in DevNet. JSON and XML, I can say that they are not hard to understand. They are very easy, especially JSON. You can understand it and practice it and finish it in 3 hours or something. XML maybe will take some time. And the most important and going to be challenging for you will be Yang as a data model. It is not really easy to understand, but it is very important to understand the component of Yang and how it is working as a data modeling. My recommendation is learn JSON, learn XML. You can leave YAML with Ansible from the track. For Yang, first of all, if you are asking what is the difference between data coding, data encoding, and data model, you can go to this website. I try to explain in 5 minutes what is data encoding and what is data model. Data encoding like JSON, XML, YAML, and data model like Yang. Here I'm showing you example that all of them in the end are showing you the same thing. They are a way to represent the same thing in different way. Here, for example, JSON, I can represent a Giga Ethernet 5 with this description enabled, which means turn it on or turn it off, shut down, no shut down. Here, this is in JSON. In YAML, it will be like this. In XML, it will be like this. Okay, and so on. Again, I prefer that you get use of the difference between how to represent the data in JSON, XML, and YAML before you start the development. If you need my advice, this book is very important. Yang is one of the good book that you can read, network programmability with Yang. It is not only try to explaining Yang, but it's try also to explain different different concepts like what is netconf, what is REST API, RESTconf. But if you can buy this book, this is how you will understand what is Yang. At least if you have issue with Yang. Okay, let's take break for 10 minutes, and I will return back with you to continue what we need to learn before we start opening a study guide for DevNet exam. I know that we are now in August. In September, we will start having the official study guide from Cisco Press for the associate level exam than the others. But you can prepare yourself from now with understanding all what we are talking about. Give me 10 minutes break and I will return back to you. Okay, I'm back. Now let's continue with what we need to know and prepare ourselves for it before we go for DevNet certification. Version control system like GIT, actually not like GIT, but it is only GIT. This is what we need to know about it. And GIT is trying to give you the capability to have a system to control the different version of scripts that you have, and also manage the changes that happening in your scripts in different versions. GIT is important. You can find this website here to learn about it. This is one of the topics that if you said, okay, I'm overwhelmed, I cannot study all these stuff before I go to DevNet, will take time. You can leave GIT for DevNet curriculum. They will cover GIT. Even the advanced topic for GIT will be covered. So no issues if you want to leave this part here. If you can prepare for it, go. As I said, it is good to be surprised less with the topics that you are encounter in DevNet books and different curriculum. But anyway, if you want to leave it, they will explain it well in the DevNet track. So remember that it is all about using REST API, netconf, RESTconf. The REST API tools like Postman, CURL, request modules are going to be important. So also, if you can give a look to Postman and how we can use it, it is just a API application from Google where you can doing the HTTP verbs against a specific website. Like for instance, here I have a website for statistic of coronavirus cases, and I can do GET against it. The URL itself, you can see it has the API concept. If you learn HTTP, you will learn what is URL and what is URI. And if I say send, I will find that I received the information, and here is the date. It is for 15 August, and he's showing me the total cases. Everything is here, and you can see that he's showing me the information as a JSON. I can see it as a XML. So the information came from this server is coming to me as a JSON, but I can change it here to XML. In the end, it's the same thing. He's showing you the same information, but in different structure. You can see it as a HTML. I can see it whatever you like. Even if there is capability to visualize what we are seeing, and as you can see, I can see it here by countries, okay, and so on. But this is Postman simply, and you can save all the stuff that you create, like all the requests that you create. You can even have a session that need authorization. So I can type in the authorization, what is my username and password. I can get a token, and this token use it, save it in Postman, and use it later with other sessions, remaining sessions with the same device in the same day or at the same time, depending on the token that you're going to receive. It will normally, it has expiration. The status code here, it's okay, everything is good. This is a standard response for successful HTTP request. So Postman is good, and also it's a good learning tool. And remember, the data encoding, XML, JSON, and YAML are important, especially XML and JSON. And how we are going to apply all these things, and I can add also ANSI client for netconf as one of the libraries here that we can have, not only request module, against the Cisco products portfolio, which is normally one of the things that will come in your mind. Do I need to read about the products portfolio and understand at least a basic, like 3-4 pages about each product? Actually, this is what's going to be explained to you in the course itself, in DevNet Association and DevNet Professional. They will explain to you these things, so you don't need to spend time, for example, to know what is the WebEx team spaces or what is the Meraki portfolio. This is something you will encounter in the DevNet courses. In the end, before we start now talking about 2 remaining topics, what is the certifications that we have for DevNet and what is the best resources that we can keep looking on it when we are studying DevNet. I just need you to remember that when you think about why I'm learning DevNet, think about things like how long you are spending time to configure tenant in Epic or an ACI solution, with all the configuration and options that we can have on it. You will find that you are spending a long time, especially that the graphical user interface is not that friendly there. While I can download a tool from Cisco like ACI Toolkit and just change the name of the tenant, the name of the component, the number of them, and just execute it, and everything will be created in ABI-C. And it will not take that time, by the way. REST API is very fast, and it is based in REST API. Or imagine that, for instance, you have a Python script like this, and you want to run it against your vManage component inside SD-WAN to get some information. As you can see, I will have the requests module, some other modules. Then if I execute it, it will going to run against this website that I'm giving here with the username and password. Then it will start giving me the output that I'm looking for. Maybe I want to check all the policies and the templates that exist in vManage, or maybe I want to post a set of things inside my my stuff. I guess I feel the connection maybe yeah, I need to change the username and password here. But anyway, this is an example. Let's have another example. What if you want to access DNA Center to see what is the devices that DNA Center discovered? Again, you will have a script like this, and as you can see, not that big, and it is authenticated. I hope it is authenticated well. Yes, it is authenticated well. And here you go. He's giving me the output. This is in JSON. And as you can see, he's telling me that you have a Cisco Catalyst 300 something. You have access point here. All these devices with a lot of information that normally you can find it in DNA Center and the GUI itself, right? I have wireless LAN controller also discovered by Catalyst 9300 switch and so on. Imagine that I'm sitting here just in 1 second, I'm getting this information. I can put it in another application that can create a good report, and in the second I can send this handy report with all the information, instant information to someone. And instead of going to the devices, creating the SSH or whatever the way of communication that you would like to have, and so on. So The second thing that we need to talk about it is, yeah, DevNet certification. What is the certification that we have? Frankly speaking, you have two main certification track. You have the associate level and the professional level. Soon we will have a CCIE level, by the way, for DevNet. DevNet Associate is similar to CCNA in the old days for routing and switching, but this is for DevNet. And we have the professional level, which is similar to CCNB routing and switching, for instance. So DevNet Associate, DevNet Professional, CCNA level, CCNB level. Now it's time to find out what is the exams that you need to take, what is the outline for each one of them. For the Associate, they will try to explain to you the basic things like understanding and using APIs. What is REST API? What is RESTconf? What is NetConf? So you might tell me, okay, this is good, so I don't need to understand these APIs. I will tell you, okay, you can spend the time here, and when you study the certificate material, you can study what is API and REST API. But as I said, Python is something you need to know about. Infrastructure and automation, they will show you the Cisco platforms and the portfolio. That's why I told you that you don't need to learn it. Remember that from the perspective of a programmer that would like to go for certified DevNet Associate, he will not have the network skills that you already have. What is TCP/IP? What is OSI model? What is IP addressing? And what is router and switch, right? So you will have 15% of the course content and the exam is related to network fundamentals. Because remember also, there is no prerequisite to go to DevNet Associate. I'm not saying that you should have a Network Plus course or something similar. No, you will learn it here in the network fundamental. Also, they will teach you the software development and design, which is maybe the programmer know about it, but now the network guy doesn't know about it. So you need to study. My advice, Cisco is providing you a course to learn and prepare for certified DevNet Associate, and we call it DevNet Associate Fundamental course. The term that they use here, fundamental, maybe it is misleading you, and you will think that you need to study this, then there is something else you need to study before you take the certified DevNet Associate. No, actually this course is covering all the material that you need. It's covering all the topics here. And the platform that they are giving to you, this course, when you register on it, as I remember, it costs like $49 monthly. And frankly speaking, if you dedicate yourself to this to the material, 1 month is enough to finish all the material. The good thing about the material that it has labs, so they have labs to cover everything. If they are talking about how to talk with the DNA center to get all these devices that I just showed to you, actually this is a lab inside the environment. They're giving you labs for Meraki, they're giving you labs for SD-WAN, for everything. So you can see even how to practice with HTTP GET request in Python. Also, for like this example here, you will find. As I said, the only thing that we don't have here is Python introduction. And what is and what is Python? So they will teach you a lot of things. They will give you introduction to their own platform and collaboration and security. You will understand what is REST API. They will explain version control with GIT. They will explain HTTP, as I said before, but it is better to prepare yourself for HTTP before you go to the content here. They will focus a little bit about WebEx teams and the operation and how to deal with it. We have the network fundamental, which is basically stuff for network administrator, will not be a big deal. They will exploring Yang model, but not with a lot of details. So you don't accept that you will learn Yang here. And they will show you how to use Python script, Cisco SDK, but again, they will not explain Python scripts. They will explain to you the concept of CI/CD pipeline, DevOps practices and principles, and they will show you how to create Ansible playbooks, and there is labs for that also. And done. This is the associate level. For the professional level, you have 2 exams. So you have 2 courses you need to study. The first course is the DevNet core exam, developing application using Cisco core platform and APIs. Normally, like any core exam in the new certification and the next level of certification that we have starting in 24 February, all the core courses is actually 8 days material. If we count, if we assume that each day is 8 hours, it is 8 days material. And so prepare yourself that you will have a lot of topics in DevCore. Then later you need to choose one exam. We call it concentration exams, same format that we have for security track, data center track, we have it here. And you need to choose one of these courses and take the exam for it. Each one of them is focusing in one field. Like if you check here, you will find that there is a course that automating and programming Cisco enterprise solution. So normally this is for routing and switching. Collaboration, this is for voice and video. Data center, service provider, security. And by the way, any one of these exams is also considered concentration exam in the CCNP for service provider or security or enterprise. So in CCNP security, I will find this course here as a elective exam. So in another meaning, you can be a DevNet, a CCNP DevNet and CCNP security by taking only 3 exams. The core exam for CCNP security, the core exam for DevNet, this one, then choose the elective, this one, it will be counted twice for your CCNP security and for your CCNP DevNet. This overlapping in the concentration exam can be useful for you. There is some other concentration exams that focusing in specific things like DevOps, Internet of Things, and WebEx devices. Most of these courses, the concentration exams, are 3 days, by the way. If I want to go to the core exam and start thinking what I will learn on it, you will learn a lot of things. You will learn how to create a diagram, a sequence of your application, how your application is going to be executed and think. This is what we call diagram, unified model, UML, or unified modeling language. You will understand things like what is chat ops, and you'll understand that you can have WebEx space, whereas a bot here is a chatbot, and this chatbot is not only a chatbot, but also he's doing operation for us. That's why they call it chat ops. I can log into the team space here, and I can tell this bot create a virtual machine or display to me all the Meraki devices that we have. This chatbot will go to chatbot API gateway. He will send his request, and the request will be sent to your Meraki infrastructure. And then Meraki infrastructure will take the answer through the APIs, will send it to this guy, send it to him, and he will show it to him, or even send it to him by email, depending on how you will configure. You learn in CCNA, in DevNet Associate, which is similar to CCNA, a few important things about REST API. And now you will learn some advanced things. And when I'm saying, when I'm mentioning this point here, you need to remember something. It is not a prerequisite to go for DevNet professional directly. So if you know the material that they covered here, you don't need to go be a DevNet associate. You can go directly to a DevNet professional. Same concept for CCNA nowadays and CCNB infrastructure enterprise. What you will learn here, if you are good with the API, REST API, and you already jumped to CCNB DevNet or core exam, or you already have the CCNB associate exam and you're certified, you learn REST API. But now we can have something extra, like paginated REST API. How I will deal with the output that coming to me that maybe can be represented in 40 pages or 50 pages. How I will deal with it. How will to me that. What if I have make it shown a lot of requests that I'm sending to and I'm exceeding a limit, so I will receive a too many request error message, one of the HTTP errors. In this case, how I will handle that? How I will handle the API REST API errors? How I will optimize the usage of APIs? Then we will start talking about security stuff, like how I will save the password. Remember that in the script that I just run it for you, I used to have the device fully qualified domain name, then username and password, and you just saw it, right? How I will make it encrypted or can be called from the operating system environmental variables or something like that. What is the solutions that we have here? Also, he will start talking with you about the concept of public key infrastructure, because since we are using HTTPS and sometimes we are using TLS here, so I need to understand the concept of public key certificate and all these things. What is API keys? All this is there. Then you will understand the WASP top 10. Now, if we are talking about network devices, or if we are talking about web application, since we are using HTTP and since we are using some technologies that already shared between both, we will face the same vulnerability and threat type of attacks. So I need to understand what is OWASP top 10, and top 10 here mean because OWASP has more than top 10, has top 10 for Internet of Things, has top 10 for mobile devices. Here we are talking about top 10 for web application vulnerabilities. I will understand that the A1 or number one with the highest severity is the injection attacks. So I need to understand the injection attack, XSS, request forgery. Also, I need to understand the authentication authorization framework, how we can use it. Sometimes we need to understand it. We will use it, so we need to understand it. Also, if you learn GIT as a version control system in the associate level, similar to REST API, now we are taking the level 2 of it, the advanced. The advanced version control with GIT is also going to be covered. So this is for the core exam, but as I said, it is 8 days material, so we still have other topics to talk about. Some topics could be just principles, like the 12-factor app methodology that we have it here, which is very cool one. It is 12 factors that you need to follow when you are creating your software, when you are creating your script. And frankly speaking, sometimes you are doing few of them, but you didn't know that there is a name for that, or they are part of a methodology called 12-factor application. You will learn it. Then you will learn something that I didn't mention in our preparation for this material. I didn't mention anything related to containers and containerization because it is going to be explained here in the core. You will learn how to use Docker with labs and Kubernetes. Also, you will have introduction and you will have lab for that. But Docker, more about Docker, maybe more than Kubernetes will be here, Kubernetes, and also both of them you will have labs. So the container technologies here will be explained. and how integrating application in existing CID/CD environment. Then they will talk about Cisco App Dynamic. They will talk about using distributed logging to diagnose problems. Then they will talk about Cisco UCS and how to do the API infrastructure as a code with Terraform, which is the Ansible, it is Ansible platform from Red Hat. If we talk about Ansible and how we configure it in the associate level, we will repeat that, but this time not only this Ansible DevOps tools, but the other main two DevOps tools also, Puppet and how to configure it. And as I remember, I don't know if this is a typo or not. We should hear because we have Puppet, but as I remember, no, this is a typo. This line is repeated. Yeah, so Puppet and Ansible, again, you will learn them, but maybe we didn't mention Puppet because you will not learn it in the associate level, but you will learn it here. And time to learn Yang. More advanced and more digging deep in Yang is going to be here, and language for it, how to use it with RESTconf, because RESTconf is based in Yang. Also how to use it with NetConf because it is based in NetConf. And also we will talk about GNMI APIs. Finally, we will have one chapter talking about databases. And if you are familiar with databases, we will talk about, you already know that in normal databases that we deal with, it's a relational database. It is made of tables, right? And if you are dealing with Active Directory from Microsoft or any OpenLDAP or any LDAP directory like OpenLDAP in Linux, you will know that we made it from, we call it hierarchical database. But there is some databases also that we normally use it with big data and these stuff like key value database, document-based database, graph-based time series database. All this will be explained to you in this chapter, and again with some labs also. Once you finish with this core, now it will be the time, and you pass the core exam, now it will be the time to go for one of the concentration exam. Depending in where you like to go. Like for example, for me, I'm already CCNP and CCIE routing and switching and network enterprise. I already know how to deal with APIs in SD-WAN and vManage in another meaning, DNA Center, NAPLM, NetMiko. All these are going to be covered here. And also I have knowledge, since I'm CCNP security, I know also, and I practice API with ICE and Firepower. So I say to, and also I'm involved with the concept of advanced malware protection, AMP Cloud, Threadbread. So I said to myself, I need to choose one of these two. Which one I need to go for it? And frankly speaking, I found this not more easier, frankly speaking, but I was more interesting to see if there is something new I need to know about it, because I'm interested more in security stuff, and they choose it, but it's up to you in that. Most of them are 3 days. I was going to choose also this one, data center, because also I'm involved in some project with how to use IRA and ACI toolkits, understanding the objects concept inside the EPIC and ACI. But in the end, I said, no, but I'm not in this professional level for DC. Go for the routing and switching or security, and they choose security. So it is completely dependent on you and your job requirement to choose which one of them here. That's it for the certification. I will not go for the outline. You can go for the outline, but as I said, it will be covering the same stuff. Some stuff will be new for you. Like if you go to Cisco service provider solution for automation and programming, you will introduce maybe for some products that they just mentioned quickly in the associate level, like or the core level, like NSO, the orchestration product from Cisco. Here in service provider, I guess you have like 3 chapters covering NSO with labs. Resources, quickly, you have a great guy here, Hank Burston from DevNet team. Follow him. You can find a lot of videos for free in this link. You can find a lot of videos in general for DevNet also, but his videos here in developer.cisco.com video net blog basis. Jason Goley, Cisco Bruce. Not only this book, actually nowadays any new book you will find Jason is covering the automation and programmability parts and chapters. He's responsible for that now in Cisco Press, and you can see, for example, the new DNA Center, as I remember, or SD1, I guess, one of them. You will find that his name is there, and that's when he's covering the automation for these devices. Trick bars is also good. Nicholas Russo is also great. He giving you, first of all, let me show you something related to Nicholas here. This is his blog, and if you go to code projects, you will find a lot of codes for Python, and I guess here in let me check job ads. Yeah, in job ads, you will find a lot of requests saved for you in Postman collections. Remember when I said in Postman you can save what you are doing and use it later. And also he is showing you here one of the links here. Yeah, study material. He has some study material for these DevNet certification, and also he's sharing with you the study plan for DevNet Associate and the core, and also for routing and switching and security. It looks like me and him went in the same wave here. So in the videos, you will find 4 videos explaining to you a study plan. This study plan based in Excel sheet that you can find it in his blog in the previous slide here, so you can download it. Yeah, these 4 you can see here. Excel is the Excel sheet, and he will explain it in the videos. Just in case if you want to follow a study plan for that, remember Cisco DevNet is providing you sandboxing for free. You can go practice with all these Cisco security products. You can practice all the REST API, netconf, Ansible, all what we talk about it. You can practice it against online 24/7 Cisco products like routers, switches, DNA Center, vManage. Sometimes you will find the gear itself is open and you can access it directly, and some of them you need to make what we call reserve. Very simple. You will say that I need, similar to the cloud. You will choose when you need to access, and they will give you the access in that time. After a few hours, next day, it's up to you and up to the availability. There's a new book coming from the teams in Cisco Press called Network Programmability and Automation Fundamentals. This book, they didn't release it yet, but I guess it will be a big thing, especially that Jeff Dial is there on it and some other good names. This is the end of the session. Our next sessions will be in September and October. I was preparing, this is our second session, by the way. The first one was related to ICE deployment. I was preparing to give you a session as an introduction to Cisco SD-WAN, but frankly speaking, there is announcement will happen from Cisco in October related to Cisco SD-WAN portfolio. And since we have some NDA, I cannot say what, but there is something good. They will add it, and it will be good to talk about Cisco SD-WAN in this case in October, not in September. So we cover all the things, the old and the new one. I have some other topics in my mind, like how to shift to cybersecurity career. Cisco ICE, we can talk about device admin, TechX Plus, ICE policies. Cisco Firepower one-on-one. We can talk about what is FTD, what is FMC, what is the type of policies, and how we deal with it. Some people say let's have labs for CCNA or more. We can finish CCNA labs in 8 hours, doing all the labs together. How to prepare for the CCIE lab exam, the new one, Enterprise Infrastructure version 1. I will leave these topics for you when I post this video in YouTube and in LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn. Please, in the comment, if you can type which topic here you would like to have it. And each month I will have 2 sessions. So we finished 2 sessions in August. I will have another 2 in September, another 2 in October. As I said, in October, let's leave one of the 2 sessions for introduction to Cisco SD-WAN, but we will have 2 sessions in September and 1 remaining session in October. You can choose. If there is a new topic, another topic that I can help you with it, please mention it also in LinkedIn comments. Thank you for attending, and I don't know if there is any questions here. Just let me close the recording. So we finish our talk for the session, the technical talk.